Hi guys, welcome back to the channel here at Totally Magic. And you know what? I got a little something for the weekend for you. A card trick. But not just a regular card trick. You know how it goes where a magician gets you to choose a card. I'm actually not going to get you to choose a card. However, I will choose a card. Not just one, but two. Because I'm going to make a couple of predictions. So I'm going to go through before we start. And yeah, that seems about right. And maybe this one here. Two cards chosen as my predictions. Now, I do want to commit to these. I don't want to swap them, change them, or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is just sign each one with my initials. Okay, there's the first one, and the second one, TM, as that's my name, Totally Magic. Two cards, just don't want to get it on the top there. Two cards here, you can have one and you can have the other. You see, I'm going to get two of you to deal some cards in a moment. In fact, I think, yeah, I'm getting the feeling that that would suit you better than that one there. Anyway, I'm committed to two premonitions. A deck of cards here. Would you like to just cut half the pack for your friend? Happy there? All right. What I'd like you both to do now, could you, sir, just take about half the cards and we'll use those. Let's get rid of these ones. And if you'd like to do the same, just need about half, that's fine. And we'll get rid of these ones here. What I'd like you both to do is with those cards you've now got, think about a small number of cards and deal them onto my premonition. Now, who would like to go first? You want to go first. Okay, just take the cards and deal them one at a time. Happy there? Okay, and I'll take those. And would you like to do the same? Just deal down a few cards. Absolute free choice. Let's get rid of these. So let's just recap. You've both dealt some cards randomly upon my predictions. Now, if we take a look over here, now how many cards did you actually deal? 7. Let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On top of my premonition that I signed. Yeah, and we'll keep that on the table like that. Now, you dealt how many? 5. So from my prediction, you dealt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is good. What we're going to do is, again, leave my prediction at the bottom because this next part is going to astound you. Trust me. Let's recap. From a shuffled deck of cards, I removed 2 premonitions. You both took half the cards, you then cut them and had a random amount of cards, which you then dealt a few of them on now. I couldn't possibly have known that beforehand, could I? But being a magician, we can foresee the future. You see, you dealt 5, and that is exactly what I predicted, and you dealt 7 and I predicted that exactly. The 7 and the 5 is my predicted values of the cards from the cards, and that is a great little premonition effect. In fact, it's a bit of a double whammy. Practice and enjoy. So here's the tutorial for this effect, which I have to admit, guys, this is one of my favorites. It's not an original, although I've added a bit to it. The original idea of predicting 2 piles of cards came from a magazine from the early 1950s. I think it was about 1953. If I can find the article again, I'll put the credits in the description below. But the idea was you put 2 prediction cards down and they deal that number of cards. Now what I did is I added a little bit to it because I thought, wouldn't it be good if you could sign the 2 prediction cards? That way there's no exchanging of cards, swapping. The audience are convinced that those are the prediction cards from the very beginning. How wrong they are. Because this is how it works. And have a little play around with this. I've got it down to how I deliver it and it works every time, but there's a couple of areas that you might be able to improve on if you've got better handling skills than me. Here it is. Get yourself a deck of cards. You probably noticed in the performance that this is a grubby deck of cards, and they really are. Because you're going to have to ruin the pack by writing on the cards, you don't want to use a new pack. So try and find an old pack of cards you got, which I've done here. You then take the pack and you remove 2 sets of cards. And as soon as I've done that, I bet you're all kind of saying, that's how it was done. And you're right, this is how it's done. You see, I've got ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 and ace, 2, 3 up to 10 here. Now the suits are of no importance. Okay, remember the trick isn't about choosing a card, it's just a quantity. So we're not worried about the suits. In fact, the more mixed up you can get these, the better. But they must be in sequence, ace to 10, ace to 10. You then write your initials in the center of each card. Okay, so I've written them. Well, move them around a little bit, as you can see on there. Now, the reason I've deliberately written the signature the initials in the center is because when you spread the cards, you don't see them. But that's the setup. So you ruin 20 cards. Okay, sign each and every one of those. Then what I do is I take the 2 packets of cards, the aces are on the top. Okay, there they are, the 2 stacks. Take half the pack and you put these 10 cards on top of those and these 10 on top of those, and eventually you're going to drop these on top of here. However, and you don't have to do this, and I'll show you a way out of this at the end, but what I like to do is on this ace, I've made a breather card. Now, I know I've been using breather cards just recently quite a lot, but they've always been around, and in some of my early effects I did use these as well, and I quite like them because at the moment they seem to be working quite well for me. Remember, if you haven't seen any of our previous videos, a breather card is where you just crease from the center, but there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube that show you this and talk about this, and you just do the face like this on there. Now, I've also just coloured in red the very center dot of the card, and the reason I've done that is because that will be sure that they have cut to the right part of the pack. Now I can put this on top like this, and during the performance you'll notice I ask one person to give half the cards to his friend. When he cuts the cards, he cuts perfectly to that breather card. So he's got the 10 cards there, and he gives these to his friend. In the original effect, you get the 2 cards dealt down from this point. But let's go through the routine as you saw it performed. Here's the stacked deck. I can spread the cards quite easily and even spread the faces. Now don't worry about the 1, 2, 3 up to 10 here. No one's going to notice that. The rest of them are kind of hidden. The others are in here, and you can quickly show the pack is just regular. Handle it all loosely. Oh, by the way, you've probably guessed my Sharpie. It doesn't work. I go through lots of these, and you're probably wondering, why would I go through lots of these? It's because every time I use one of these, I leave the lid off deliberately so it dries out. The problem is when you leave these around the house, my family keep picking them up and thinking, oh, this one's dried out, and they throw it in the bin. So try and keep it in your magic drawer if you can. But these are really handy when you want to pretend that you're signing a card. Just take a normal Sharpie, take the lid off, leave it like that, and it will dry out. And that's ideal for your tricks. But that's what I've got here. So we then come to the performance. I say I'm going to remove 2 cards. Now what I do is I go through and I remove 2 cards in particular. One of them, I deliberately remove a low value card, either a 2 or a 3. Okay, and it doesn't matter, just go through and remove any 2 or 3, as long as it's not one of those in your stack. So you do this, you remove 2 cards. I also remove a picture card. Now the reason I do this is because it helps the appearance on the revelation. When we get to that, you'll see what I mean. But I take a low value card and a picture card. The reason I've got a low value card is because it's very rare when you ask people to deal a few cards out, do they deal 2 or 3? They normally deal 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, something like that. So I remove these. I pretend to sign my initials on here, and of course it does nothing. And then you put these down. So we cut the cards, and I can see the little red dot on there, so I know he's cut to my stack. As I said, if you don't want to use the breather card, I'll show you another way of doing this. Okay, so you cut the cards and you say, give half to your friend. Now, in the original effect, these were then dealt out here. Now, I wanted to stop people or limit their number. So the way I did this is to say, okay, you've both got half the cards. We don't need that many. So can you just take a few cards off to about a half of the cards? Now, by them taking half of the cards, they're going to have approximately 13 cards. You can get rid of these. Now, the good thing about this, with confidence, you can turn these over because you won't reveal any signed cards, and you can put these to one side like that. They've now got 2 packets of cards that are going to have approximately 13, give or take. So there's less chance of them dealing more than 10 cards. So you're kind of restricting the number of cards. If they had half the deck, they could deal 20 cards. So you want them to deal less than 10. Now it's up to you if you use the term deal a few cards, try and keep it less than 10 or single digits, something like that. That's up to you, but I'm pretty sure that they're not going to deal all the cards. So say from that small packet, just deal a few cards onto here. So this person will deal these. Remember, they're dealing in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. So say if this person deals 4 cards, he's actually put your future prediction card on top. There it is. It's totally automated. You take these from them. Now be careful on showing the underside, because if they didn't take too many when they cut, you may reveal this. So I take these from them. I get the other person to deal down cards as well. So let's say they deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, they're dealing in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on here. Take these cards from them. I then pick up these, put them underneath, and then turn them back face up. That's just a little niche that I do. You're all done. Now this is the bit where the handling comes in. You have to get this top card to replace your supposedly prediction card. And this is why I said to you earlier on, if you've got much better handling skills than me, I'm sure you'll make a better job of this. But what I've done on lay people, not magicians, but lay people, is this, and it works. On one of them, when they say they've dealt 5 cards, I square the cards up, hold them in the biddle grip. I then just do the normal biddle switch move, which is just slide off the top card as I count 1. As I come to take the second one, I'm going to put this back at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now he said he took 5, but look here, I'm actually holding this as a single card. It's actually got 2 cards. There's my original prediction card. This is the one that just came from the top. So I say, yep, that's 5 cards on top of my prediction. And I just clip it like this with my fingers, just clip it. They've seen it like that from the start. So what I do is I then just square them up and then just slide back all the cards to give that same appearance as we had at the start. There's my card. You've done the switch. That's all you're achieving to do. The same over here. Now, I do an alternative. You can keep it consistent and do the same move again, but you can do it like this. And I did this in the performance just so that you've got a choice of which method you go. I take out my prediction and I say, so how many did you deal? You dealt 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as I square these up, I'm going to get a break under the top 2 cards, these 2 here. I then take these 2 cards as one and I put that to the bottom like I did before. Then when I put them down, slide them back, we're at the situation where we've now put the 2 top cards to the bottom. If you've got a better way of doing that, then please share it in the comments, because I'd love to see an easier way of doing that. But this works for me. Finally, you reveal. You square these up, turn the packets face up. They're amazed to see your 2 predictions match, the 4 cards and the 5 cards here, but also the signature. Now, this is where you can remove these and immediately they see just regular cards. These are your 2 originals. This is why I deliberately chose a picture card, because I knew it wouldn't be a 4 or a 5 here, because that would kind of take away from what you're presenting. And the 3 here, again, because it's highly unlikely they're going to deal 3 or 2 cards. So that's why I did that. That was that little reason I did that. You can then pick these cards up. I mean, you could, if you want, spread them like that, but you don't want to do that because they're in sequence. So I just take these cards, put them on top of the pack, spread these, keep these bunched together. Everything looks clean. How clean does that look? You know what? Sometimes I feel I could have sold this on Penguin. Yeah, it's such a good effect with a few of the little additional things I've added to it. So there it is. That is the trick done there. Now, I did say, what if you don't want to use a breather card? So I said to you, if you don't want to use a breather card and get them to cut them, it's not a big deal. What you could do is this. The 2 stacks, 1 to 10. The first one goes on top of the pack. The second one, if you reverse it, remember we normally have the stack ace, 2, 3, 4, but if you reverse it like that, so the ace is on the bottom, put these to the bottom like that. So your 2 stacks are now either end of the pack. When you get someone to cut the cards, you say cut about half for your friend. Let's see how close you can get, and kind of make it a bit of a game. They do that. I can then, these are the bottom half, you can then say, let's see how close you got. And you're going to count the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Well, you didn't do too bad. You got close to halfway. Can you see all I've done? In counting the cards, you've added that extra little bit to see how clever they are. Can they cut half the cards? which should be 26, but they're slightly out. But this adds to it because it looks as though you couldn't care that this guy's got more or less. But what you've now done is put these in sequence on top of the pack. You're all good to go for the trick to run as it was shown before. I hope you enjoy that, and if you do come up with any improvements to this effect, then please put them in the comments below, share them among our small community, and also while you're at it, don't forget, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe, like, share and all the usual things, because it really does help us as a channel. Till next time, enjoy.